Hi, this is Julie Lewis from Create Community Studios, and welcome back to our Taking Care video series. And today I want to show you a fun project that sort of made me nostalgic for an easier time, a slower time, a more simple time in my childhood. And that is the origami fortune teller. So I made a special kind of fortune teller today. These are not complex to make, but I made one that has a list inside of items that are crucial for my self-care. So I've noticed that in this time of self-isolation, lots of different feelings have been coming up, and I've been forgetting to do really kind of basic things sometimes. But also some of the more, some of the more complex things that require a little more energy or require me to really commit and show up for myself, but have a big impact on how I feel and my overall wellness. So let me show you the materials that you'll need for this. You'll need a simple piece of printer paper. You'll need some scissors. You'll need some markers and colored pencils, a Sharpie marker, and if you would like, maybe watercolors or some oil pastels. So I used all of those, but you could also simply use your colored pencils and your markers or crayons. The Sharpie marker is helpful just to make some of the images and words stand out. Maybe you also would want a collage or attach some other items to your origami fortune teller. I'm going to show you how I designed this one, and then I'm just going to walk you through the steps of making an origami fortune teller. So this fortune teller starts with the classic numbers on the outside, and then the inside folds, I used the colors of the rainbow. And on the very inside flaps, I wrote down things from my list of self-care items that I know are helpful for me to kind of get back to some sense of equilibrium or just to feel a little bit better. So I did some really basic things like the kind of basic self-care checklist, which is, am I hungry, angry, lonely, tired? Have I eaten well? Have I hydrated? Have I taken a shower? Have I really focused on my breathing? Are there feelings that I'm having that I'm not in tune with? But then some other fun things, making art, of course, helps me to calm down, listening to some happy music, getting outside, especially grounding my feet, so taking my shoes off and sinking my toes into the grass or the dirt, or even laying down and looking up at the trees or the clouds can be really calm and peaceful for me. Breathing and meditation, climbing into bed with a good book or a magazine. And one thing that's really important, I think, right now, and I sort of put these two together, is, call a trusted friend or family member and ask for help. So those are two things that sometimes are really, really hard, but can help us to get reconnected to the people that support us. So let me go ahead and show you how to make an origami fortune teller. I'm going to tilt my camera down now so that you can see. I'm going to use a plain piece of printer paper, but I need to make this into a square. So I'm going to fold this one side over so that it lines up with the opposite side. This makes a triangle, and I'm just going to simply cut off this end right here because I don't need that. I want to have a square piece of paper. So I've got that scrap. Now I've got one fold in my paper. I'm going to fold it in the opposite direction to the opposite corners. So there's two folds, and then I'm going to make a third fold, taking one side of the paper over to the other lengthwise. Oops, didn't quite line that up. And same thing in the other direction. Fold the paper over lengthwise. So you have 4 folds total in this. Now I'm going to start with the corners and bring my corners into the very center fold. This is going to end up giving me a smaller square, as you can see. Now I have a smaller square with the flaps folded in towards the center. This is the hardest part of an origami fortune teller. You're going to take this side, put it down on the table, and now you're going to bring the corners into the center again. And I'm going to go around and bring each corner in. It does sort of matter to have, fairly even and correct folds, although it does not have to be exact the way a lot of origami projects do. Simple, but you do want it to be able to open up easily. And then, so now I have flaps on this side, and I have just a single flap on this side. I want those to be on the outside of my fortune teller, just the single ply flap on the outside of my fortune teller. So I'm going to fold the double-sided flaps inward. And sometimes I fold it one more time just so that it helps it to open and close easily. And now I push my fingers into the flaps and into the corners of my origami fortune teller. Okay, now here's where I might start with the numbers on the outside, right here. Okay, I just put one number on each side. You could do two numbers on each side if you wanted to. Then on the next phase of the fortune teller on the inside, I'll just kind of mirror this now. Those are my numbers. On the next phase, the inside, I used colors of the rainbow. So I just started here and made colors of the rainbow. And finally, in the last phase, the biggest open square on the inside is where I used some watercolors just to create a colorful background. And then I used my Sharpie marker over the top to write and draw some fun symbols for each item or action on my self-care list. So let's just give it a whirl and see how this goes. A little trouble folding. There we go. Okay, so I am going to pick the number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to pick the color pink. So now I'm going to spell out the color pink. P-I-N-K. Okay, back to where I was. My favorite color is green, so I'm going to open up the green. And on the green side, I get right here my self-care checklist. So this would be a good thing for me to just check off. Have I done all of these things? And if I haven't, maybe I need to pay attention to one of those items right now. And maybe that might include calling a friend or a family member to help with that. Although these are all things that really, I hope I can take care of on my own. So anyway, so that's just a fun, simple project for you to create a list. And I'll just sort of close with, I know this might seem sort of silly. These are things that we, some of us do almost every day. But when we're in a time of high stress, and I've really been feeling the self-isolation that we've been in, sometimes we have a trauma response. And for me, my trauma response is not really fight or flight, it's freeze. And so when I freeze, it's almost like a paralysis. Like I'm not quite sure what to do to move forward or how to care for myself when I'm feeling really stressed. So to have my self-care list in something fun that's sort of easily accessible and almost like a little surprise, it's sort of a fun thing to do and helps me to remember what I can do to self-soothe, to bring some calmness, to bring some equilibrium, and sort of lower the stress levels. So I hope you enjoy making an origami self-care fortune teller. Have some fun and take care.